Okay, so we're checking out Sharky. Just a couple things to work on before you go ahead and move to the next assignment. First thing is your edge flow. So if we check out the side here of Sharky, we want to kind of keep things sort of following the natural curves of Sharky's body, okay? So we want to basically make sure that we have nice, smooth curves throughout. Like, for example, right here we kind of have this this edge coming over down the length of Sharky's body, and it starts out curving nicely, and then it dips down a little bit and back up and then down again. So that's kind of a zigzag. We want to avoid any zigzagging geometry wherever we can, and also these little guys right here on either side of Sharky have gotten a little bit mismatched from one another. We want to keep it nice and clean if we can, and that way things are easy to look at. So I'd say grab these two verts right here, just marquee select them, and we can actually use our scale tool and just scale this in Y direction only, okay? And just bring those into line with one another, just like that. Make sure you don't grab this middle one, because if we do that, I'll show you what happens here. So if we grab that middle one, it's also going to scale inwards, okay? Just make sure that you're just doing that in one direction. And once we've scaled it, we can kind of move things around and just try to maintain the curves that we have kind of set up on the outside of Sharky's body here, okay? So just go down the length of here with this line that we've got going on here. Make sure things are kind of in line with one another, and that the curve that we have is smooth as we lead into the tail there, okay? So you'll want to take a little more time with this than what I'm showing you here, but that's kind of the idea. Same thing here. We don't really have a nice smooth curve heading into the tail here. It's kind of cutting over through here, and then all of a sudden it just kind of changes direction as it comes into the tail. So again, ideally we just want that to kind of curve gently, following the curves that we've established for the outside of the body here. Alright, so just move some things around and try and keep those curves consistent. This line right here as well, along the edge, is probably more of kind of a center line. So, you know, you may want to move this down a little bit, just to make it more of kind of a center line, because what we have right now is kind of these little tiny spaces right here next to this great big giant polygon, and we want to keep our spacing kind of even, somewhat even. So you'll want to keep things about the same size, or gradually changing size as far as faces go, okay? So you don't want any really big faces next to really little tiny small ones, okay? So maybe something a little more like that might be appropriate for this kind of center line down Sharky, okay? And these as well are a bit of a problem right here, as they're kind of dipping in. So let's take a look right there. So we've got this right here that's kind of sloping inwards. It's stretching out this polygon, these polygons right here quite a bit. Okay, so we want to sort of avoid that. So I would say to just bring this up a little, or bring this in a little, to kind of alleviate the positions in those curves there. Just kind of smooth things out as best as you can. Okay, so that's kind of, yeah, I mean, you get the idea there, what I'm talking about when I'm talking about edge flow with that. Another problem that we've got back here is you might be able to see this on my screen. If not, just check it out on your shark. You'll probably see this kind of black or dark gray area right here. And basically what this is this is faces that are folded on top of themselves, okay, or faces on top of faces, all right? And what's happened here is actually that these faces right here should actually be on the inside, and they're pulled out to the outside. So if I pull this out a little bit, you may be able to see it a little better. As soon as I move it, you can kind of see what's happening. It's just that these faces that kind of belong on the inside over here have been pulled out to the outside, and they're kind of sitting on top of themselves, all right? So what you can do with that is just grab these guys on the outside here and just use your scale tool in the Z direction to bring them till they're on the inside, okay? Once you do that, all that crazy black face stuff will go away, and your model will be happy. Another thing on the tail here is you might notice we've got these edge loops coming around here. They're going all the way around the tail except for right here. They are not connected, okay? It's super important to make sure that your edge loops are connecting. So we're just going to come up to Edit Mesh, and we're going to use a tool called Interactive Split Tool. All right, just click on that. It's going to allow you to click on this area right here where this edge is kind of dropping off into nowhere, and we can just click on that, and then click on this center line here, and then click on the other side where the edge continues, or should continue along, okay? Once we've done that, we can just hit Enter to complete the split, all right? And once we have hit Enter, you can see now we've got our new edges right here, which makes this one complete edge loop going all the way around the fin. Same thing on the bottom here, and again we can just do the same thing, use our interactive split tool, clicking on one edge and then the other, hitting Enter. Okay, so what happened that time was my edge kind of went off out into outer space here. It went over this way, and that does happen sometimes. Usually there's an underlying problem with that face, if you see that kind of thing occurring, okay? So what I'm going to actually do in this case is something different. I'm going to go to face mode. We're just going to click on all these faces, and we're actually going to delete them, just recreate them the way we want them, okay? Because there's probably some geometry problems with them somewhere, okay? So once I've deleted them, I'm going to go to edge mode and grab these two edges, okay, right where our gap kind of starts, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and Extrude, alright? And it's very important as soon as I extrude something that I move, scale, rotate, do something with it, because if I just kind of click off and do something else, I now have some hidden faces here that will cause problems later, similar to the problem we were having before, okay? So make sure you always move or scale or rotate new faces anytime you do an extrusion, alright? Immediately, before you do anything else. Alright, so I'm just going to pull those down, those new faces that I created. And I'm going to go ahead and extrude one more time. And again, I have to immediately then move that extrusion to somewhere. So we'll move it right down here. So we're kind of lining ourselves up a little bit with this gap that we've got going on, okay? Now we're going to close the gap using our Merge Vertex tool. So Edit Mesh, Merge Vertex tool. And what we can do is our mouse, you can see, has kind of turned to little crosshairs. We can actually take one vertex and click and drag to another vertex, all right? And when we let go of the mouse, it's going to go ahead and then connect those vertices. So now where there were two vertices before, they have been joined into one vertex, Okay, so that's just one now, and it's solid and connected. So we come over to the other side, do the same thing, just click and drag. And the same thing here at the bottom, click and drag. Don't forget this middle guy. Okay, so right here, what happened was when I deleted those faces, I actually had an extra face that was kind of coming down here, and there was an edge that just sort of stopped right here, and it left over this vertex. Okay, so be very careful of those sorts of things. If you see any stray vertices hanging out anywhere, make sure that you delete those. Okay, so let me go back to my merge vertex tool and finish this up. Go ahead and merge that. I can hit Q anytime to quit the merge vertex tool. If I don't quit the tool and I start clicking on things, I may accidentally merge vertices that I don't want to merge. And the last thing I would do here is just grab this one middle vertex, just move it in. Okay, look at that from the side too, and use your scale tool to do a little better job of lining that up. Okay. A couple more things. The nose here is coming to a point. We don't actually want it to come to a point like that. We want these lines to continue in loops all the way around Sharky. Okay, that makes it much easier for us to add new edges later on. So should our art director be like, well, that shark's great, except I want to add, 7 more fins all around, make it a mega shark or something, you'll want to make sure that your geometry is such that you have these loops that are going kind of all the way around the shark and not ending in any kind of star points like this, right? So we're going to change that a little bit. What I'm going to do here is just, I'm going to go ahead and grab this edge loop, okay? And I just did that by going to edge mode and double clicking on one of those edges, and it selects all of the edges all the way around the loop. And I'm going to bring that forward to where that point is and scale it down. Not totally, not to a little teeny tiny point. I don't want to let anything like that, but I do want to scale down quite a bit. I'm also going to take this one, now that I've changed the position of that other one, I'm going to take this one forward a little bit and scale it down to kind of compensate for how I've moved this other one here, okay? So once I have that, I'm just going to reshape this a little bit into kind of a rectangle shape, I guess. Okay. Just going to grab all 3 of those. Just bring them down a little bit. These 3. I'm also going to bring down. I can also do this from the side a little easier. If I just zoom in here, we can use our scale tool to select all of these guys in a row and just scale them until they're directly in line with one another. Okay. Just scaling in one direction at a time. Then once things are kind of in line with each other, we can grab all of these and just scale them in the X direction to bring all of those in a straight line. What we should have now is something that's a little bit square looking. It's going to be not perfect because we've only done it from the side here. Okay. So we also want to take a look at it from the top and bring things in line. So these, for example, right here, we're going to want to bring into line. And these as well, the ends here. Okay. So that we have some nice, evenly spaced verts. Should look like a nice, pretty rectangle. Okay. Once we've done that, we're actually going to change the geometry a little bit from what it is now. So again, we're just going to get rid of these faces that we don't want anymore. Okay. Just grabbing them. And I'm going to go to You know what, we'll just go ahead and hit delete. Delete those guys. And we can see inside the shark. Cool. And now we're just going to go ahead and repair those using that same technique we did before. We're just going to go to edge mode. And I'm going to grab these 4 edges that are at the top of this gap here. Okay. I'm going to go to edit mesh, extrude. And again, as soon as I extrude something, I need to move it or do something with it. So I'm going to move that down and out just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and extrude again and move it again. Okay, just like that. And now that I've got my extrusions already, I'm going to go ahead and sew this together using my merge vertex tool. So edit mesh, merge vertex. We're just going to click and drag these verts to close up this gap, okay? Just like this. And we can hit Q when we're done with that. Again, we'll want to go to the side and line things up. Things nice and even, okay? You can look at it from the top as well, you know, look at it from every angle. Okay, so that's gonna fix our nose issue. The last little thing is just on your tooth here. You've got this part of your tooth kind of caving in on itself. If we take a look a little closer, there's actually a vert inside here, right down there, okay? And it's actually just, the tooth is kind of tucking into itself with those verts on the inside like that. Okay, so we can look at this from the front to see it a little better. This is what's happening. It's kind of coming around here and then tucking into itself and coming down this way inside the tooth, okay? So we'll want to go ahead and pull that up, alright? Something like this is probably fine. Same thing here, we'll want to pull this up. We can do something like that. Or we can shape it a little bit. We can bring it out if we want to. Just bring it out here, or, you know, that's fine as long as it's not kind of folding into itself, alright? We don't want any areas where the geometry is tucking inwards on this tooth. So we just want something like that. And that's it for any issues. Overall, really good job on Sharky. Not too many problems there. So after you've done those few things, you should be ready to move on. So thanks for watching and happy modeling.